928.
Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here. Oh, did I have technical problems today? I almost had to give one of these other guys the lead on the show. Let's introduce everybody right off. Richie Rich Rosen! Number 11. Okay.
Now you just messed it up again.
There goes your mic. I think you're too loud. You broke it.
You broke it.
Can you hear me again?
A little bit.
It's
We
a
can hear
watery.
you like a robot. You sound like a robot.
Sound like you're underwater again.
Sounds like you're in 2024.
Check the volume. I had to fix this on my computer. Check the volume on your computer. Make sure it's not all the way up, like the lever, like the setting in Windows. But anyway, all right, Ernie, you're in charge, buddy.
Better now?
No, still nothing.
I have to get another.
I gotta step back. My dogs are asking me to go out and take care of business, so I'll be back.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Your dogs, so that kind of business, you better get up.
There you go. I think Ernie had a good business. So Gavin, what's going on in your world? I didn't see what Animal was talking about.
No, still bad. Still bad.
No, not working anymore. I'm not sure which article he's talking about, to be fair. So
I don't know. Well, what's going on in your world of training and recruiting here?
it's kind of busy, especially as
The training.
I think I'm gonna change a bit my approach to things. I'm gonna make some more courses. I've just been recording a 1-hour show there. It's absolutely knackering. Having to focus and to think, because a lot of people, when they record a video, they do like little bits. I
Yeah.
tend to record it in one go.
Yeah.
All about how to start your recruitment agency if you want to go into what you guys call staffing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's good.
Right.
How about things with you?
I'm seeing the market. It's interesting. September was a mushy month for tech, so most recruiters I talk to, they're seeing the market slow in September, but I think it's going to pick back up come October.
Mushy means slow, or what is mushy?
Slow and lumpy, it's just like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not bad. It's just
I hear
not
the same.
slow.
I hear exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of bad luck in September personally. So
Oh yeah, that's not good.
yeah, clients get fired when they're supposed to give up. The day they're supposed to give an offer out, clients got fired. The hiring managers got fired. So it didn't help for a couple of deals. But yeah, no, the market, a lot of clients are, you're going back to the old school of we got our internal recruiter bullshit. No offense. Whatever. Just say it's kind of back to a normal. I don't think it's bad yet. I think it's just a normal. We've been in this hyper market for so long. So it'll be
Funny you
interesting.
said it, because actually on my recruitment front, I've received, so what day are we? We're Wednesday. I've received since yesterday 3 requirements. And I'm like, damn, shit, I don't even have time to work on them.
Yeah, for what kind of job? Because fine, I've gotten a lot of people call me for jobs, but they're horrible jobs to work on.
They're my niche, so they're 100% spot on what I can do. It's just that there's very, very few people available.
What do you recruit for?
Oracle e-business suite and Oracle Cloud.
Like the developers, engineers, or?
No, in the cloud, there's no developers anymore. So they're all functional people. Like I've got 2 functional and I've got 1 solutions architect. And it's all because of course here in Europe, it's much more on site. So that's quite of an added complication that some countries are already work on the level of you can work from home, and others are no, we need you on site. So that's complex, and it's just been very difficult to find enough people because of course I place freelancers.
Oh yeah, freelancers.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can now, Animal.
What the fuck? I just want to swear of it. I'm so damn angry. I'm angry.
I think it's because you shout too loud and your PC gets frightened and switches itself off.
Well, you have auto leveling, like on I have a Mac, so it auto levels, and your mic probably has the same thing. You have like that blue snowball, like that snowball thing.
But I'm not using that now. I've got these things in. Sometimes these work, sometimes they don't. I'm going to start the show and edit this part out, okay?
That's the best part.
Where's Ernie? Taking care of the dog?
He's taking a dump.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here. Have I had problems, real problems? I hope they don't continue. Still a bit funny with the hearing, okay? What's the date today? September 28th, 2022. I had to check that before we started. Everybody can hear me, right?
Yep.
Loud and clear?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, let me introduce everybody again. Richie Rich, raise your hand. cornerstonesearch.com. Everything sounds funny to me. cornerstonesearch.com, okay? He's a Superman, number 11, blah, blah, blah. Sasha Tesanovic on the other side of the world, raise your hand. She's the Wonder Woman on this show. Gavin Johnston, everything about recruitment.com. He's the man with a smart URL. And hey, before I forget, I want to thank Joe Weech. That's Joe, Joweech. She must listen to the show because she sent me a message saying she hopes my back gets better. Well, it didn't here, but thank you very much for thinking of me, okay? Oh, you know, I hate it when I have problems, but finally we're going to get to the show. Let me see if my notes, I had to close them because I had so many problems. Okay, let's get to it right away. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Okay, the CEO of one of Canada's largest institutional investors didn't mince words when speaking about the recent push by some corporate leaders to order their employees back to the office full time. He said they are tone deaf. Tone deaf. You know what that means, Sasha?
No.
They can't hear what people want. They're crazy. They're stupid. And they won't be able to hire people because people don't want to work in the office anymore. You have a comment on that? No.
Ooh.
She struck up. She's a deer in the headlights. Gavin, over to you.
I'm not convinced at all.
Convinced about what? We don't know what you're talking about.
About what he said, about that people working from home are lazy, are not involved, are not going to produce what they're supposed to be delivering.
That's not what he said. He said people who want to bring their candidates into the office full time or their current employees back full time, they're stupid. They don't know what people want. They're not listening. Gavin, you're ruled out. I'll go to Rich Rosen. Are you awake now?
What do you need? I'm sorry, working, man. What do you need?
One of these top institutional investors in Canada said anybody who thinks they're going to bring everybody back to the office and attract new candidates that way, they're tone deaf. They don't know what the market wants. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the role, but no one wants to go back to the office 5 days a week. You know,
are you? I have to tell you that, Rich, I ain't going back. Well, your guys don't go into the office.
My guys
anyway,
don't go
right?
in the office, but every so often you get a client that wants them to, and it's a waste of time and money. I mean, the problem is all these companies in a couple of years are going to lose all this institutional knowledge because it's not going to transfer for that those up and comers. So something's going to have to give eventually, but.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because all these kids coming out of college, how are they going to learn anything? You know, you learn a lot just by being in the office with other people. And trust me, I'm not an in-office person. I never have been. Well, not in 26 years. But it's, you know, these companies are going to have a hard time in the future.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. What about this? You know, I was reading about Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan, okay? But Mark Hamill, he's Luke Skywalker. He said they thought that they didn't want to use the title. The studio didn't want to use the title Star Wars because they thought that the word wars would turn off girls and they wouldn't get any women or girls coming to the movies, right? And what did that remind? Of course, that proved wrong. What did it remind me of? It reminded me of these articles that keep telling us that if you have a job ad, you can't put words in that are going to turn off women. And what are these words? I'm going to give you some examples. Objective, analytical, determined, independent, adventurous, It's absurd that women wouldn't like those words. Wonder Woman, what do you say? Do those turn you off? And you're too independent, or you're adventurous. It's too aggressive for you. Come on.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. And honestly, being in recruiting for 2 years now, this is the first time that I hear that such word.
Okay, but you don't. Well, you don't recruit. Do you recruit any women? I was under the impression that
Yes, community managers in real estate industry.
Okay, but you don't put stuff like that in your ads, do you? Adventurous or independent or?
No, I don't.
Okay, yeah. So, but you personally are not turned off by it. Am I right?
Well, that wouldn't be what would
No.
be.
Come on! What? There's no thinking involved. Gavin, do you have an opinion?
How dare you think about your words?
There's no thinking on this show. You think before you come on. Yeah, what thinking is dead air. Come on, Gavin. Got an opinion, Gavin?
I just said I can't put myself in the shoes of a woman, so I can't answer.
Not
I'll
again.
put myself in the shoes of a woman. I know lots of women, and they're not afraid of being independent or autonomous
I was
or
thinking of a
adventurous
word
or
and I
determined.
remembered.
That's an insult to say that they are
I can interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Not a disqualifier, okay? So it wouldn't be the only thing that I would reconsider or look at in the job ad. Other factors are more important than those words.
Okay, so what you're saying is it wouldn't stop you from looking at the job, but you're not commenting directly on the words, and that's what I'm looking for. Number 11, do you have an opinion?
Yes,
You already asked me. I think it's stupid.
You be quiet now, Wonder Woman. I want. What does Rich Rosen think?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I think, I mean, you can't worry about every word you put in. If you're going to turn someone off on that, they're probably going to be a pain in the ass.
You've got a wife and a daughter, and your wife sounds pretty tough to me because you tell me all the time that she sounds like me. Okay, Richie, don't.
See, you blew your mic again.
I did.
There you go. Now you're back.
We lost you the last highest
Okay,
octave.
I gotta watch myself. I'm too independent and autonomous and adventurous. Okay,
There you go.
for the average employer.
I don't. What'd you think? If someone was that turned off by those words, they were going to be a pain in the ass to work for.
Absolutely. I gotta leave for a second. I'm still here. I'm still here.
I wouldn't be overly concerned.
To be fair though, if you take the whole working population, right, and you do a survey on what people are really looking for, you'll find that a large percentage actually they want security, they don't want to move around, they want a job for life. And then if you got words like adventurous and all that, it would probably.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be they wouldn't be the right people for the job anyway. So, but it's
but they were recruited at some stage.
Well, yeah, but
they're not good for you and me, but they were recruited at some stage.
But again, for what role though? It's like you wouldn't want them for a certain, for certain roles. I mean, if you want to be adventurous, you're not going to be an accountant per se,
What an example. Very true. Very true.
But I mean, you got to know your audience. I mean, if you're recruiting for salespeopeople, that's one thing. If you're recruiting for, your CPA, it may not be the, you may not want some of those that wording in there. So it's all your context you're using and the spokes you're going at.
Know your candidate.
I don't know. I just find the prima donnas and all the, call whatever you want, overly sensitive people, they're not worth it. It's just going to ruin your culture. Right. People need to get over things and not get so offended by every little thing. But
yeah,
come on, let's go in. 100%. Really good side. Come on.
Was that your?
So we've lost Animal, but Ernie's here twice.
We got Ernie the animal now.
Hey, can you hear me?
What's going on here? Yes, Ernie, we can hear you.
Dogs inside. I'm sorry.
The rerun of this show is going to be interesting.
Seriously. This will be an Animal classic. So
he's going to have to do a lot of editing.
That's pretty good.
So Gavin,
Ernie, why are you in here twice?
In your training world, what are you seeing now? Are you doing a lot of training, or that business got to be booming? every time the market gets a little blippy, trainers start, training starts really booming.
Actually, no. What I'm finding is it's really funny because I've got the impression that people are going back to basics. You'd expect people to say, well, I'm at that level, I'm going to move up. But actually, it's things that are much more basic, simple things like what script to use when you call a candidate for the first time. And you think, well, you've been recruiting for 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
That's the secret to this whole business is simple is better. I mean, and no offense to you or other trainers. I mean, I think most people overcomplicate the simple. Like my emails have gotten shorter and shorter, less words the better. And, at the end of the day, the more direct, I mean, everyone knows why we're calling. So why futz around and play this stupid game? It's, give me a reason for the call. Give me a reason for why we're spending time on the phone. No one wants to hear, hey, just want to be your friend. They want to hear, what are you wasting my time for? But
actually, even that is already one level further. I think a lot of people are in that phase before where they're so frightened about having to call somebody they've never spoken to before, that their message is not good, that their voice is all,
oh God, yeah.
That they're frightened, that they're stressed, that they're going,
Yeah. Well, what's the number one rule in recruiting or any sales is confidence. Doesn't matter if you know what you're doing or not. Because, I mean, every big biller I know, they have a bad week, a bad month, they all feel like failures. They have no clue what's going on. So this business will rattle you very quickly, which is why, it's not great when you see these idiot recruiters with these big egos on Facebook and other things. It's, it takes one client to be your hero, and you can lose a client and you're a zero. So, but if the whole thing, when you go after these companies or go after these candidates, you just act natural, act yourself, act confident, like you've got something of value, you'll do great. Takes a few calls, takes a bunch of emails, but
Yeah, you've got to get used to being out of your comfort zone. But once you're there, and I think another very important thing for me is also this whole thing of, we're talking to human beings. A lot of recruiters, when they're starting off, they seem to forget that. I think the whole thing is be interested in them. I mean, how do you like to be approached?
Yeah.
Well, approach people in the same way as you want to be approached. Try and bring some value to these people. And too many recruiters don't seem to, just have some basic common sense that is what is needed. And I think there's going to be a massive clean out if the economy turns down. It's going to be heavy.
Well, that's the beautiful part of these downturns is it literally wipes out 3/4 of the industry. Because I mean, let's face it. I mean, in this business, if you're working for yourself and you're not even making $100 grand, you're really not a good recruiter, especially in the last 2 years. It doesn't matter what you're billing, what your salary, what your fees are. It's there's a minimum level of acceptance, and this job is way too hard to do it for less than 6 figures. And so it's great because it cleans out all the cannon fodder of these idiots that are pitching at 10% fees and things like that. I had a guy yesterday send me an email to me looking for saying, hey, we're working at 10% fees, 15% less than less than the industry average. And I was like, dude, you should actually order back. I'm like, you should be embarrassed that you're undercutting the industry at 10%. So he writes back, well, we can work with you for 20% then. I'm like, I mean, it was, but that's
I had a fellow recruiter ask me if I would do a split for 15%.
Nice. That was
a split. So I go, that's 7%. I go, no, I don't think so. Get out of here.
Well, this other guy was a recruiting firm. It's one of these Indian firms that just last everyone everything. 10%.
That's not selling though, huh? That's just dropping your pants.
Exactly. I mean, but that's the problem with this industry is, everyone's looking for the easy way to do it. And it's easy if I say I can do it for 5 or 10%, it's a piece of cake. People forget it's actually a sales business. And that's where, this industry ends up falling apart because people don't want to sell.
People don't want to get on the
and
phone.
Too many people have been sold the whole thing of it's easy to make a quick buck, and it's not easy to make a quick buck. No. You've got to work bloody hard, especially when you're starting off.
Well, especially when you start up, but even when you've been doing it forever, we almost lost power. Well,
Christmas has come early there, Rich.
Are you in the storm?
Oh, he's frozen.
I guess he's gone.
Yeah, and he's
So it's
not
the
down
Gavin- it's the
south. so he
Gavin
can't
show
beat the
now.
storm.
Go for it, Gavin.
Thank God I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So was Gavin saying something interesting that you want to talk?
It was very interesting.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you
Animal
what
just
happened.
frozen.
I got up to let some more light in.
Now you're now you're frozen.
Yep.
We've got two frozen people on the show.
Yeah.
But you know, Ernie, you do know that you're on here twice, huh? Is it once on your phone and once on your laptop, or what is
Yeah,
it?
I came outside. The dogs don't want to come inside. They want to come out in the sun. It's like 50 degrees here, and there's a little bit of sun, and they found their sun, and they want to lie around there. So, hey,
What's 50 degrees in real temperature?
I don't know, 50 Fahrenheit.
Hold
I
on a
don't know.
minute. 50 Fahrenheit to Celsius.
It's
Oh, yeah,
Chicago
it's what
area.
it's here. Yeah, same as here.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's 10
it's
degrees. Sasha, for us, it's 10 degrees.
yeah,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
So-
not very warm.
Where's Rich?
Rich froze.
He got.
Oh,
he
so
got
did I. Yeah.
the-
Okay.
The electrical went out on Rich or something. So
Maybe it's the hurricane. Although I'm 2,000 miles away or 1,500 miles away. Okay.
Is Rich in Florida?
No, he's in Boston.
Oh, well, then he's quite a bit north, isn't he?
No, who knows what's going on? Can't you tell we're cursed
maybe
today?
maybe he didn't pay. Maybe he didn't pay the bill.
The show is cursed. Okay. It is. Okay.
While you were gone, I was calling my dogs outside, and
Oh,
I
you're
didn't realize
outside.
I
It's
was on
nice.
the
It's
show.
nice there. Okay, so let me. Hi, everybody. It's Recruiting Animal Show. It's September 28th, 2022. Okay, and we've had a lot of technical problems.
23.
I don't know what's going to come out, but I'm going to start the show again with a very interesting question. Oh, there goes, we lost somebody again. What about this? This guy said he likes to give candidates the questions in advance, and he finds it works very well for him. Not everybody agreed. Does anybody want to comment on that now? Gavin Johnston, I'm sure you have an opinion.
I actually answered that post.
And
I don't get the questions as such because I am placing contractors, and so it's not the same kind of interview process. However, what I do is I do give as much information as possible on the kinds of questions that they will get so that my candidates are ready.
okay, give us an example. Do you have anything concrete to say?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I've got a client that has a special way of management where they're very flat structure and all their employees have something to say. We don't have like a pyramidal org structure. And so what they say is when they got people on board, they want people who are open to that kind of working. And so they will ask the person, how would you feel if we asked you to do something that is not your remit, but that would be good for the organization?
Risky.
So I warn the candidates of this because it's a very unexpected question, because there are maybe 1 or 2% of organizations who work this way. And I warn these guys that they're ready to be able to answer this question.
Okay, now
and
I have
especially show interest.
I've got a reply to that. Somebody said, when you give them the right answer, hi, Rich,
Hey, we lost
when you
power.
give them the right answer, the show started again, by the way. When you give them an answer like that, then that's setting yourself up for failure because, yeah, the guy is feeding the employer the answer they want to hear, but he doesn't really mean it.
That makes no sense. What do you mean he doesn't mean it?
Okay, I want to get the job, so I'll say anything. And you warn me what to say. Okay, I'm your puppet now. But when it comes to really ask me if I want to do, something outside of my wheelhouse, I'm going to say no. Okay, I don't need you anymore. So
You
they
seem to be
will
a-
use the information that you're feeding them just to get in there. Okay, let me switch to Ernie. Ernie, this
But with
guy
that comment,
said,
Animal, you seem to be setting yourself up as if you're just sending idiots in.
Send in the idiots.
I got to tell you, actually, I did that once. The guy, I don't think they fed me the questions, but I wrote out these questions for this woman who was a candidate, and she brought them in with her, and she answered them, and they hired her. Right? I had
Oh,
trouble
there you go.
collecting, but it wasn't placement. Ernie, what about telling your candidate the questions that they're going to be asked at the interview? What if you're on the inside, like you were?
Uh-huh. No, I
This
don't
guy
tell.
said he gives them the questions first so they can think about it. I think that's a great idea. Not everybody agrees, but they're much better. You know, they don't have to think about stuff off the cuff. They can give you a better answer. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea, but it gets him to think about it. But just hopefully you got people that don't want to ask the same questions. I mean, I know there's interviews where people have the questions in front that they have to ask, but that's kind of, I kind of believe that it shoed be a conversation. And you
Let me
should.
go to Rich. I don't like any of your answers. Rich, do you have an answer?
No, I mean, I don't.
Be careful,
I
right?
don't
Be
give, I
careful.
don't give people the questions per se, but I do tell them, hey, this is what this guy's looking for. You know, I mean, you don't, because you don't want to be set up. You don't want to set yourself up for failure either. It's great to make a quick buck on a deal, but not if they, you know, are going to blow up 30 days
He
later.
doesn't like that. He doesn't like that answer.
Did Rich answer the question? What did he say?
Rich, you
Is
didn't
your
answer the
microphone,
question.
your headphones not working now?
Yeah,
the
I
headphones
heard you.
broken?
It's a
Well,
method.
I heard you.
It's a
Sasha, I hope you're
question.
listening. Don't answer the question like these guys did, okay? What's wrong with giving them the exact questions
But
that
wait,
are
wait,
going to
wait a
be
minute.
asked in the interview so
in
they
this-
have time to
no.
prepare?
In this particular question, you said it was a good idea. So therefore, anybody that disagrees with you, you get on like shook up.
No, I don't
No, I
like
agree with
vagueness.
him,
I
and
like
he's still
people
not
who've
shut
got
up.
clarity, okay? And none of you have done it right
It was
so
very
far on
clear.
the show.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what I
Well,
was
you're so
asking for
smart.
either. Yeah, that's the exact problem. That's the claim. They say it's wrong. You know, when he asks you this question, say yes, okay, even if you don't mean it. That's the weakness. Apparently,
no, but
that the
I
one
think-
person objected.
I think you need to take it to the next level when you should be connected to your candidate as they're in the interview, and then you whisper the answer to them.
Mhm. I think that's a good idea.
Candidate whisperer.
Thanks.
Mhm.
An animal
Oh,
couldn't do it
David's
'cause his
here.
sound would break down halfway through the interview.
Hold on, David M. Marr is here. David M.A.R.R. He's no M, no middle initial on LinkedIn. I have a hard time finding you guys sometime on LinkedIn. Anyway, Dave, you're on the inside. What do you think about that? Feeding the candidate the questions? Because, you know, let me just say something. With these behavioral questions, they say, can you think of a time when you did X, Y, and Z? I can't think of anything on the spur of the moment. I can't. I don't have the breadth. What's it called?
Brain.
Brains.
No. The broadband or whatever they call it.
But that's interview prep. Though being able to tell someone, hey, listen, you're going to need to give stories about your wins, your losses, this or that. That's, you know, I mean, if you want to say that's giving the questions, I guess, sure.
Okay, so you're saying keep it general. What does David M. Marr say? Anything?
So-
And you better be snappy, Dave, or you know I'm switching to Sasha.
So what we do is we do not give the actual interview questions that are going to be asked, but what we provide the candidates with is a sample of like what type of questions to prepare for and give them like a framework to answer the question. So that way, as they're preparing, they can come up with examples like Rich was saying that they can provide when the actual questions are asked.
Does anybody understand what he said? Because I sure didn't.
I did. It was
I
perfectly
did.
clear.
I did.
What did he say?
The same thing we've all been saying. You're giving them a general guideline of, hey, this is where the interview is going to go.
I'm going to give
But
a rebuttal. I'm going to give a rebuttal to my own claim. I just complained, and I've said this before. Daniel Chait, the guy from Greenhouse, whom he said he was going to come back to the show and never has. I think he was warned against it. He was a great guest. I asked him that question, and he said, if they're doing it all the time, they won't have any problem thinking of it when you ask them, answering the question right on the spot. That makes sense to me. Otherwise, though,
What did that make? That doesn't make any sense. If they're doing it all the time, what do you mean?
if I say, can you tell me when you've handled this kind of problem? Okay, and if you did it 10 years ago, you might have to think about when it came up. But if you're doing it every day, you can say, sure, I can think of that.
But that's a limited amount of scenarios that you're doing every day. And this is like just warehouse work.
Okay, I didn't mean every day, but I meant often. Okay.
If you got to be clear, Alan,
said every day
like this.
You said every day.
Sasha, do you want in on this, or you just
Just say
soaking
no
up
and
the
let it move
wisdom
on.
from these vague people?
I'm still an internal recruiter, and since I joined this show, it's a whole different world in comparison to internal recruiting. And if I were told my hiring manager that I'm providing my candidate with questions, or if I told them that I'm reminding them about upcoming interviews, they would be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. They should be aware of their interviews and what should they answer. Now, I realize that people in recruiting are doing things totally opposite in comparison to internal recruiting. And for instance, we had staffing agencies. Yeah, we had.
You just heard Dave. He didn't
Sasha,
say that.
Sasha, if you gave him the questions on day one of being an internal recruiter, on day two, you will be an independent recruiter.
Ernie made a joke. Okay, so I'll just wrap it up. Some people think it's like cheating on the test, like giving somebody the test before they get it.
No, I don't do that. For instance, I can give them sometimes hints on what to avoid when they're being interviewed, what questions they shouldn't answer the way they answered during my interview. If I think that they're accept that particular question.
I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Okay. Next question. I'm in a bad mood today because I don't like it when my technology fails. Okay. Okay. What about this idea that a significant culture can attract candidates? And here's the example. This woman says, she says, I had a family emergency and my employer said, go ahead and deal with it. Okay, no problems at all. And I also know somebody, I had a candidate once, he worked for Deloitte. He's Indian and one of his parents died. And the guy said, go home, stay a month if you have to. No questions asked, no problems. And he said that meant so much to him. Does that kind of thing get around so people know it and it can actually attract them and serve a purpose? Anybody want to comment on that?
Nobody answer on that one because he's going to yell at you.
I won't. Oh, so what if I yell? You're not afraid of me. Come on.
So
Animal, what answer
culture-
would you like?
So in the tech industry,
I said feed the questions, not the answers.
Yeah.
You agree with that answer or not?
Yeah.
in the
I'm
tech
not supposed
industry,
to agree with
a
you.
strong
Okay, I'm
cult-
supposed to challenge you. I'm the host. This isn't one of those pat on the back shows. That's the whole point. Gavin, do you have a
No,
comment?
we'll just
You
ask
usually have
Animal,
something
how
to
do you want us to answer?
Nobody ever starts it with, that's a great question.
Yeah.
say. Well, I'm never going to say that. That's what the suck-ups say, okay?
That is true.
Oh, geez, that took a genius to think of that question. No, it didn't. Okay, Gavin, we're going to go around. Gavin, okay? What was my question about the culture? Does your clients, do companies actually have a culture that people out in the industry learn about and say, hey, I like their culture. I'd like to work for a company that lets me have personal time off when I need it.
When my mom
Does
died.
that ever
Oh my
get
God,
out?
good answer.
I'm trying to make myself clear, Rich.
Chris,
Gavin, go for it, Gavin.
Rich knows
But the
I'm under
answer is
pressure
yes,
and he's
and
just
I'll
digging
actually
it in.
promote
He's
that.
harassing me, okay? Go ahead,
Are you
Gavin.
talking
Yeah.
through me? I said yes. I think quite a few companies do have special things, special cultures, and I actually use that a lot to promote the organization to my candidates.
Example.
Well, the example that I just gave of that company that's got this, I forgot what it's called. I think it's halocracy, where you've hardly got any levels. That is something I absolutely promote to my candidates.
That's not what I said, okay? I said, do people
Example-
know about this?
example
Do they
was-
hear about it? And does that
Yeah.
attract people to,
Yes.
before they
Yeah.
get to you? That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Before they get to you.
Why?
I mean,
what's that got to do with us
if
recruiters?
I'm
If it
marketing
gets
Deloitte
out
and I say,
there-
listen, if you have a family problem, they're going to be very sympathetic. That's different from, hey, I heard about this company and by word of mouth or some, and I'd like to work
You know what
at
it
a
is?
place that-
Honestly, it's easier. Most people hear about the negative of a company. They don't often hear about this is a great place to work unless it's in like, the newspaper. This is the 50 best places to work, which are usually bullshit. Usually those are the worst places to work, I find. But
they're paying off the reporter.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you find people often know this is a horrible place to work. Like, and then you got to counteract that sometimes.
Anybody else want in on that?
I think your experience with a company depends on your immediate supervisor, period. That's it.
Yep.
Everybody else doesn't matter. You have a good relationship with your supervisor, that person has your back. If you don't, it's a shit company. If everybody says it's a great company. If your boss is a jerk, it's a jerk company.
So there's no general policies that people can count on that are attractive. Is that what you're saying, Ernie?
Ernie is saying yes.
I didn't call you Frisky. We heard you calling your dog, okay? We didn't need that on the show.
Buddy and Romeo.
Buddy and Romeo. David M. Marr, do you want to comment?
Yeah, so in my company, I'm in the tech industry, and the culture that you have at your tech company does really distinguish who opts in or opts out of the culture. And that is a huge
Example.
life work balance. You don't have to work 60 to 80 hour weeks to accomplish this.
And people know that before they talk to you?
Yes.
How do they find out?
A company has a lot of good collateral, like engineering blogs and things like that, that the engineers write and talk about. So and they do a lot of speaking. So, and a lot of the people that end up working here know people that work here or worked here. So it kind of helps.
Okay, so in other words, you're endorsing recruitment marketing. That's a very strong endorsement of it, right?
Yes.
Sasha, do I have to talk to you? Do you want to say something?
No, I'm gonna
You've
skip
had
this
so
one.
much time to think, okay,
I know,
already.
but I don't want to answer. I want
Okay.
to.
I'll tell you
Okay.
what's interesting about this topic, actually, Animal, is that the people who will spread the word about an organization are freelancers, because they will do quite short assignments often of maybe 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. They go to many organizations and they spread the word amongst their peers of what's good and what's not good about an organization. And that way it gets known where you get.
Well, how do they do
certain
that? Are
advantages.
they talking on the phone to their buddy and they say, where are you working this week? And he's company XYZ. What's it like there? And it's great. Or do they go out drinking? How do they actually, how does that information get conveyed?
Both. For example, I'll give you an example. I'm a recruiter in my niche. I organize an event where I take, 30 freelancers out for drinks. They don't all know each other, but they know one thing, that they all do more or less similar jobs because I'm the guy that's invited them. They all get talking. Now, I'm one recruiter. They might be talking to 5, 6, 7 recruiters. They might be invited by 5, 6, 7 recruiters to different events. After that, informal networks get set up. I mean, with like Facebook groups, with Slack, with all these things, with
But
WhatsApp.
who's telling who? Who's telling Slack? So in other words, what are you nodding about, Rich? Was it us or something else? You're trying to make me feel inferior, nodding your head?
Just round and round on this topic about who told who about what.
Okay, well, you know what? That's important, Rich. Maybe you don't realize it, okay? How information is exchanged. But the thing is, actually, you don't, because a headhunter goes out to passive candidates and he or she tells them. If you're on the inside, they post and pray a lot, right? Or they rely on. I remember I went to a conference once and they had some problems in the company and there was change in the HR lady said, oh, we're trying to improve our ratings on
Glassdoor.
Glassdoor. I was shocked. I never took Glassdoor into consideration at all.
No,
Okay.
no, most people don't. You get the guys that are on the fence do. That's
Yeah,
it.
I got something else. So somebody said, oh, culture fit's terrible. Culture inclusion and culture addition are good. What does that mean? Does anybody want to take that on? I'm going to tell you, the only thing it can mean is, okay, Betty is good at this. We're going to hire Joe. He's good at that. And so it's an addition, but they have to get along still. They still have to have a personality and an idea about what kind of work environment they want. There has to be a culture fit, I mean, no matter how mentally or culturally diverse your employees are, they have to meet at some point. Am I right about that, Sasha? No,
Skipping.
she's going to take a pass. I'm going to make you guys have those signs. It just says pass, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay. No, I'm beating this to death. Nobody else is interested. Okay. But you know what? I'm coming back to that other question. This guy said after the interview, you should ask the candidate, were there any curveballs? Does anybody do that? Anything unexpected that came out? You asked specifically, was there anything that surprised you in the interview? I don't ask them that. Does anybody else?
You ask them what happened, what they talk about. I mean,
That's
Yep.
different, isn't it, Rich?
it is. It's a good question to ask. Anything that surprised you. But I mean, I always ask the normal stuff, and then it's like, hey, what's and what'd you think overall? What happened?
You have to do.
conversation about it.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
That's like being a doctor and not asking what's wrong with you. Where do you hurt?
No. Rich just said
Yes.
that's a good question.
Because he's asking
it.
animals, just asking a specific question about any curveballs.
Yeah,
Like
it isn't specific. Any curveballs or anything
or an
surprising, Ernie? Do you ever
That's-
ask if there's something
that's-
surprised you?
Yes, you do. At the end of the interview, after they get interviewed, then you ask them, is there anything that came up that I should be aware of? Are you,
Yeah, well, that's
No, that's different.
did anything surprise you?
Yeah, anything
same question, different
unexpected,
wording.
anything
We all
curveball.
ask questions, have a conversation about what happened in the interview. Different wording, same results generally.
No. Well, I think the wording is significant. Okay, maybe
No.
because I took English literature. Okay, maybe they over. We had to watch the
Canadian
words.
English.
You didn't talk good. You didn't talk good. You're a gooder talker.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the thing is, what you do is you get that information so that you could prep your next candidate or to sync your recruiting efforts in finding candidates because they're asking things that they may not have told you before.
That reminds me, I have Sasha's mad today. Okay, I have a friend, and what he does is if his candidate strikes out, he gets that candidate to prep the next candidate. I can't imagine doing that. Anybody here?
When I was in,
Gavin's frowning.
when I
Oh,
was
here
in
she is
agency,
again.
that was a strategy that we used where we would have whoever the first front runner in to the interview would get the interview questions and we provide that list and get it more full down to the candidates that were following up the interviews. And then anybody that would bomb it would help prepare the next candidate. So yes, that is a known.
Really? Well,
Yes.
but doesn't that sort of make the candidate feel like garbage? You're rejecting
No.
me and you're making me help my competition?
No, I think they feel better and more prepared because they have better insight, than the first person who.
Yeah, the
fail.
second person does. The first person
Correct.
is like, he's, what am I, chopped liver? Yeah, you
Well,
are.
What's the motivation to get him to do that?
I don't know.
how do you
They
bring it
will
up?
do them a favor
So-
later on. I don't
No,
know.
so what we would do is we would typically give them like a Starbucks gift card or something like that to get them to help prepare.
How much?
$5
$5?
candidates?
No, like $20.
Woo-hoo-hoo, man, that's big money. $20.
I am going to apply for every one of your jobs. Get
That was
interviewed.
when I was an agency.
Okay. I think you guys might have been getting it along better when I wasn't here, to be honest. Is it something that you were talking about or that you want to talk about that I can just let you continue talking about? Maybe I'm chopped liver.
There you go.
It was his idea.
Okay. If you had $2,000, this is for internals. Okay, if you had $2,000 to spend to increase applicants for tech roles, how would you spend it? Anybody want to talk about that? There was a
Seek
good
out.
answer.
Seek
What?
out. I
Yeah,
would spend it
that
on
was a good
seek
answer.
out.
That was a good answer. Buy sourcing tools, not ads. Right? That's the right
100%.
answer? Okay, okay,
Seek out.
okay. Now, here's Gavin gave a great answer, okay? He gave a great answer to this question. Anybody, I
Gavin.
dare you to say you disagree with me, okay? Somebody posted, I'm looking to bring my headhunting firm into the healthcare realm to do direct hires and contract to hire in the state of Oregon. Do you have any tips for me on being successful in that vertical? Gavin, I'll tell you, I'll say what you said. Is that okay? And then you can elaborate. Is that all right?
Where's
You
Oregon?
remember? You remember? Here's what he
Where's
said.
Oregon?
I know this is something that Gavin says every day. You know, he'd be able to answer a behavioral question about it. He said, niche it down. Niche it down. If I type in healthcare in Portland, Oregon, and Indeed, I get over 13,000 jobs. Niche it down to something you can control. Choose a niche in which you can be #1 in the world. That way, everyone in that niche will know that you're the go-to person when they have to recruit someone. You want to elaborate on that, Gavin? First of all, does everybody agree with me with the praise I'm giving Gavin for that answer? Does anybody want to disagree?
That was beautiful.
You guys are bad today, okay? Rich, do you agree with Gavin? Or do you
Yeah.
want to say
No,
it
I
wasn't,
think-
it wasn't that hot, Animal?
Frisky.
You're buttering him
Frisky.
up too much on this one.
No, I think we've all said similar stuff. It's, you know, the more focused you are, the better.
Okay. Sasha, do you agree? Wake up, okay? Anyway, David Marr, do you agree?
Your phone
But
was
David
off.
Marr's on the outside. Okay,
Okay,
Gavin,
now,
do you want
Sasha,
to
do
say
you
something?
agree?
No, but nobody disagreed with you,
I
Gavin.
wasn't following because I was
You're
Googling
working.
Seek Out, and I wanted to ask question when it comes to tools.
Okay, wait a second. I want to answer this and we'll get to you. I
This
gave
is
you an
your
opportunity
show,
a few
okay.
minutes ago. I said, ask anything you want. Take me out of the picture, okay? Next, Gavin, do you want to add to that? I liked it very much. Do you want to add to it?
It's what I always say, Animal. If you are working a niche, you can control it. And if it's small enough, you really literally can be the #1 in the world. And nobody can come in there and beat you at it. And it makes your business just so much easier.
Okay, if this person wants to go into healthcare in Oregon and you're advising him to take a niche, how would you advise him to choose his niche?
Okay, one, choose something that they're interested in. They've already said healthcare, but that's very vast. So what's their background? Why do they want to go into healthcare? So
Let's say he doesn't know anything. He just wants to make money.
Okay, well then go and find out, make a list of all the, oh, there's somebody down there I'd not seen before, Jay
Pain
Bergman.
points.
Okay, but make a list of the
Pain
different
points.
areas there are. Choose one that is not too big, something that you think you can talk about for the next 15 years, and then stick to it. Identify the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 roles within that little niche. And then you start very, very small geographically, and you identify everybody in there, and then slowly you grow until you're at a size where you're managing 95% of candidates, 100% of clients, and 100% of the competition. That's all mapped out. And if you need to grow a bit because there's too
Did
much
I
in
miss
control,
something?
that's it.
I don't understand how you chose the niche. I don't know anything about healthcare, but I want to make a lot of money. I'm going to focus in Oregon. How do I pick my niche on the basis of making the most money? How do I do that?
Okay, if you're doing direct hire, look at average salaries. If you're doing staffing like I do, look at daily rates. What you want is to be able to say, for example, in my staffing, I want to be able to say, I'm going to be charging between 150, this is of course European stuff, but $150 and $250 per day worked by that contractor. That's my target. You can't do that on somebody who's going to be billed out for 500 a day. You want to do that on somebody who's billed out at 800, 900, 1,000 a day. So the first thing to identify is what areas do people build that much, and therefore I can make that much money off them.
And how do you identify that area? From ads in the Indeed or what?
For example, but just picking up the phone and calling around and finding out and doing market research.
Okay, we'll come back to that again.
Sorry?
So sorry, I thought you were finished. I was going to give Sasha a chance before the show's over.
Okay, no, I was just going to say there are many different kinds of jobs in healthcare. You know very well that an assistant is not going to earn as much as, for example, a dentist or some specialization in a hospital. So you already narrow it down, and then you from that can quite easily deduct what kind of roles are going to pay more than others. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I'm thinking of something else. Okay, Sasha, go ahead. We'll
What are
come back to
your
this.
thoughts? And David already replied to me on chat. I was asking, what are the tools that you're using, sourcing tools? And he said, Hiring Solved and Seek Out.
Okay.
Some other
Actually-
ones you may want to take a look at again, but again, it depends on your pain points, would be hire easy. If you're doing, there's tools that can help you like manage your like candidate outreach sequencing and finding contact information and so forth. It's called Gem. That's a really good one. Sourcing Whale, Loxo. Those are all good ones to know or try or explore.
A lot of it depends on how much you want to spend too, and how much they let you spend.
So
You know, because some of them are very expensive.
Okay, Glenn said, here's what Glenn said. He said lots of, this guy was complaining that he got suspended on LinkedIn for over contacting people. And Glenn Gutmacher, famous sourcer, he said several sourcing tools search all public LinkedIn profiles and they give you contact info while avoiding the LinkedIn profile page view limits. Okay. And he gave Hire Easy, Seek Out, Entelo. He said, you know, there's lots of them. But the thing is, you don't want to get in trouble on LinkedIn for going through, you know, too many people with your automation. And he said, this is a good way to avoid that. He also said, you should ask the vendor to give you a week for free, unlimited access. And then, you know, you'll have a good idea of how useful it is for you. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Seek Out.
If you're on LinkedIn and you're doing that and you're bringing down one person, it's not a matter of, you can find everybody on LinkedIn, but you can't find his contact information. And in a lot of these places, you got to separate, are you getting the phone number from the office, or are you getting their cell number? Because cell number is what's gold.
So there are tools that you can use to get cellular numbers. The best one that I'm aware of is called Swordfish. And that one, literally, the only thing it does is find contact information. I don't know if it works in EMEA. I know it works in the States. The other thing I was going to say is Seek Out was created by a former executive of Microsoft who, which Microsoft owns LinkedIn, right? So because of that, he has insights that has made the tool to be probably the best tool on the market right now that I'm aware of.
Okay, there's another issue. She's dealing with property managers and I think janitors, I don't know exactly what. So you have to wonder if they're going to be checking the sources where those people can be found. Are they on LinkedIn, Sasha? I don't think so. No. So that's a real issue.
If that's the case and you know the person and where they're at and where they live, then go to free sources like White Page and True People Search and start looking at those. And I would ask you to look at Dean DaCosta, Brian Fink, the guys who are sourcers. And on Facebook, ask them, this is where I live. What would you use? And I will find that those guys are very, they're very cooperative. They will answer you. Brian Fink, he's just wonderful.
Yeah, so is Glenn Gutmacher. Just go on Recruiters Online and hyperlink to their names. If you don't know how to do it, I'll help you. Okay.
And make them friends on your Facebook, and they will automatically, you know, they'll accept you and they'll help you.
Okay. That's
Awesome.
Dean DaCosta, Glenn Gutmacher. He said Brian Fink, Aaron Lintz. Okay, in fact, there's a conference going on right now, Higher X. It's on today and tomorrow. If you register for it, you can get access to the videos after the live is over.
You know, the other thing too is join SourceCon, and that's a good group to belong to because
You
there's a lot
said
of
Ernie?
SourceCon.
Con.
Con.
They have it in the States and they also have it in EMEA. The other one's called SOSU is the conference, SOSU.
Yeah,
And there's
actually,
two.
Sasha, tomorrow and Friday is SOSU EU.
Oh
in
yeah?
Amsterdam.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in Amsterdam.
Hmm?
They wanted me
So
to come to
SOSU
Australia.
is the
I said,
sourcing summit.
what do you want me for? Okay, I don't know anything. And as you could tell from this show.
There are two well-known sourcing experts, like similar to like Dean DaCosta and Brian Fink in EMEA. There's Balaz. His last name starts with a P. I can't remember it right now without looking
He's
it up.
Hungarian.
Okay. And then the other one is Tris Revel, who I believe is out of the UK or France.
Yeah,
So
Tris
he's
used
British,
to
but
be
he lives in Paris.
yeah, he
Okay,
used
yeah,
to
his
be a
wife-
chef.
His wife's from there. I used to work with him.
And
He was on the
also,
show.
there's some books like Full Stack Recruiter.
Yeah, well, you didn't show the name, Jan Henksy or whatever. You didn't show the author's name.
Jan
I can't see it.
TEG.
Put it where your face is and we'll see it, okay?
Jan Tsengi.
Yeah, okay.
I
Fine.
think he's Czech, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Czech.
What is
Okay.
it?
It's a good book, you know. And you're looking at this stuff, and I'm reading it. It's about 1,000 pages, but it's something you're reading, and you're going, "Wow, I didn't."
Okay, you know what? That's a good point, Sasha. You
Sasha,
should buy that
Sasha.
book. You can read it online.
Sasha, it's 7 p.m. where you are. Hop in the car and drive to Amsterdam. Probably one of the best investments you
She's
can
got
do.
a baby, okay? She's got a husband and a baby. So don't tell her what
Throw
to
them
do.
in the car.
Don't
Everybody
be
go.
sexist and uninclusive and make those assumptions. How dare you?
Oh my God.
How dare you? You
What's
know, those are
happening in
my favorite words
Amsterdam?
since Greta. She turned me on to that, boy. How dare you? Okay, anybody else want to do anything else? I mean, like half the show was technical problems to me. I feel
You were
so
the only one.
disjointed. Anybody? I have tons of questions, but does anybody else want to ask something for wrapping up? Gavin, I'm sorry I cut you off, but we just didn't have the time. I wanted to get Sasha's question in on that. We'll come back to that. How
No worries.
how does someone pick a niche? If you want to tell us, I'm going to be very interested on another day. Anybody else want to have a question?
To come to Amsterdam. I was asking what is happening in Amsterdam.
We
The
just told you, wake up, okay? The SOSU conference is there.
conference. It's a
Yeah.
sourcing
I just-
conference.
I just posted a bunch of useful links in the chat that I would highly recommend you copy. You.
Why don't you tell? Can you give your buddy Dave Marr your email address? You know, so he can send you some information. Okay. Rich Rosen with cornerstonesearch.com. Gavin Johnston is a recruiting trainer. You know, if my technology would have been working, you would have found that out at the beginning of the show. His website is everythingaboutrecruitment.com. And if you want to know how to pick a niche, he wants to tell you. Ernie is foodindustryrecruiter.com. Sasha Tesanovic doesn't have her own URL. But if you look up Wonder Woman on LinkedIn, you might get her if you're lucky. David Marr, corporate recruiter. And with somebody else here, I heard someone mumbling in the background. I don't care about that person. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for putting up. Frisky, yeah. Thanks for putting up with all the problems on the
Buddy and
show.
Romeo were here.
Yeah, I should have it
Frisky.
worked out. I should have it worked out next week. I just feel sorry for me that I had so many problems.